Good evening, everybody. It is Thursday, and this is the Mary Moo Show.
I was a really nice kid, to be honest, when I first started out, but the encounters that I experienced with, gang members and whatnot, I mean, when I think about it, I think I wasn't mentally okay. I remember the very first time I got stabbed, and I would hear voices speaking to me, saying, "Oh, he said this to you, he did this to you," the demons manifesting. I used to have cars drive past me with tints, and they just stop, and someone would just get out of the car, and I just got stabbed right in front of him, and he was thinking, "Oh my gosh, what did I just witness? You know what? I'm in finance, I shouldn't be here, and now I'm taking another step. You really could have been a useless boy if it wasn't for the grace of God." And I just started off with 1-2 properties, and then I just built sort of a vast portfolio. When she met me, she saw all that, she still stood by my side, and she didn't have to do that. A lot of my friends never saw that coming.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is the Mary Moo Show. I am she, and you are in the right place. You are listening to the Mary Moo Show right here on Ruach Radio, and I'm here every Thursday from 7 o'clock GMT. I hope you're feeling good wherever you are, everybody. Welcome back. We've got some great music coming up. We've got Evan Ford, Glotchy. We've got a combination of them both on the way. We have Victor Thompson. We have Forrest Frank. We've got a good selection. But I'll tell you this: I'm very excited about the conversation I have later on in the show. So you've got to stick around for that. It is so good, so touching. I didn't know whether I was crying at the end or why I was so emotional, but it is good. It is good. It really makes you think, wow, next time I see someone, quote unquote, these rude boys, these roadmans, let's pray for them. let's pray for them in our hearts, rather than, running away from them like I've seen some people do, crossing the road, or just kissing your teeth, or thinking, "Oh, these people, God help them." But honestly, you've got to stick around. I'm not going to say anymore. Let's not say anymore. I hope you're feeling good. Let's get into the music straight away, like I like to do, and then we'll come back, have a quick debrief, then we'll go straight into conversation, because it really is worth listening to. I mean, this one touched my life. It touched me. Okay, how are we going to start today? Let's start with Evan Ford featuring LaShawn Brown Jr., with a track called Lowest. It's one of the new ones. I love that. And then we'll go straight into Forrest Frank, Lift My Hands. And then, yeah, let's do that. Let's start off with Evan Ford and LaShawn Brown with Lowest. And I'll see you right back. Right back. As in, right back. This is Lowest.
I just want you to know, yeah, we all been high, we all been low. If we still got God, we still got hope. Cause life can't stay bad, it's gotta get better. Yeah, long as we got his hand, he helping us get up. God is not finished, there's joy in the morning he giving. He deploy and his angels defending. Know the Lord got a plan and a vision, gotta keep living. Yeah, life is all seasons, now I can finally see it. If it's coming to me, then I need it. Cause you wanna laugh for no reason, no.
Even though I feel low, about to lose all control, I can't rely on what I know. I need your blessing before I go. I've been troubled, but I'm on my way, and I know it's mercy for the day. In my weakness, you have given me a strength, and I know you hear me when I pray.
Yeah, I done had people that left me alone on my lowest of lows. I done things to my family and friends, I left everyone broke. I saw some things as a child, the damage that nobody knows. So where do we go? From here, ayy? Only one road from here, ayy. No more holding fear, ayy. Got hope for this, got hope for change, God's holding me. See, we all got problems, but we just gotta give it to the Father. What's left made right, shine bright, only when you in the hands of the potter.
Even though I feel low, about to lose all control, I can't rely on what I know. I need your blessing before I go. I've been troubled, but mercy for the day. In my weakness, you have given me a strength. And I know you hear me when I pray. I've been troubled, but I'm on my way. And I know it's mercy for the day. In my weakness, you have given me a strength. And I know you hear me when I pray.
I know you hear me when I pray. Yeah, you hear me when I pray.
And I know you hear me when I pray.
I know you hear me when I pray. Yeah, you hear me when I pray.
And I know you hear me when I pray. And Lord, I lift my hands. I give all the praise to you. Everything I am, you gave me the strength to do. Hey, Lord, I lift my hands. Lord, I lift my hands. I give all the praise to you. This is my response for making me brand new. Hey, Lord, I can feel your presence, putting all your peace in me. Lord, I can feel revival, breaking all the captives free. And though it sounds crazy, man, I used to hate me till I met somebody who told me how he made me, how he died to save me. And if you want the same thing, all you gotta do is just say, Lord, I lift my hands. I give all the praise to you. Yeah, yeah, everything I am, everything I am, you gave me the strength to do. Yeah, you do. Lord, I lift my hands. Lord, I lift my hands. I give all the praise to you. This is my response for making me brand new. And I can't help it, I'm just being real. I just walk up to the mic and tell y'all how I feel. Y'all think I'm religious, I'm just trying to eat a meal. But I don't live on bread alone, you hear it in my zeal. Down bad, but you got me better. G-O-D, that's the best 3 letters. Where you got me moving, I'ma need Rosetta. Keep your head up. And Lord, I lift my hands. I give all the praise to you. Everything I am, you gave me the strength to do. Lord, I lift my hands. I give all the praise to you. This is my response. Oh, this is my response. Oh, this is my response for making me brand new. Stains have been made new, all just because you wanted to. Open the gates and flood this room. Not even hell can hide from you. I feel the colors start to bloom.
Welcome back, everybody. That was Evan Ford featuring LaShawn Brown Jr. with Lois. And we listened to Forrest Frank with Lift My Hands. Love that one, Lift My Hands. And yes, we're right back here. This is the Mary Moo Show. For those of you just tuning in, my name is Mary Moo, and I'm here every Thursday. And today, what I did when we first started was I kind of gave a little snippet of what the conversation was about, because I'm really excited about this one. I was talking about road men and road girls and all those kind of things, and look at them in a different light, because this conversation makes you see that actually there's a story behind every character we see on the streets. There really is a story. I don't know if you're like me, but I follow a page on Instagram. It's called Humans of New York, and I love it because it's this photographer who goes around taking pictures of random people, and he stops to ask them about their life. And from a picture of someone, you think, I can't believe that they go through that, or that's them, or this is what their life's about, or this is their story. This is their story. It's amazing to see what people's stories are. There's been a couple which I've been hooked on, because he drops sometimes every day. He will drop part 1 or part 2, wherever it was. And there was one about this old lady. She looked like a little old lady, but her story behind her life was so intriguing. Everyone was like, Netflix this one. Netflix, are you watching? Are you seeing? And it's amazing because everybody has a story. And more than that, everybody also has a testimony. And at our church in Ruach and Birmingham, we've been challenged to share our testimony with people and to really talk in its bare bones of what it is. Let's stop just acting like we were born holy. Let's talk about our stories and tell it for what it is. Let's be honest and authentic out here, because people are doing so and it's changing lives. People who are plucking up the courage to kind of ignore what people will say, oh, don't say that, but don't say that. Just saying this is what it is. And it's touching people's lives. Till this day, on my channel where I obviously upload all these shows, the ones that have the most viewing or the most questions are the ones people have been so vulnerable and this is my life. And it's touched people's lives. It has more views, draws in more than anybody else. Why is that? It's because we all have sinned. We're all broken. We've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. But to get to this point where somebody can stand up and say, this is my testimony of my life, is amazing. So that is why I'm urging you to stick around for the interview and listen. It's amazing. And I honestly think, enough of me waffling. I've learned so much. I really, really have from that. I just learned that let's try not to judge, and from every character, pray you have no idea. Same way we have a story and we have a life, everyone else has one as well. So let's get to some music and then we'll just go straight to the interview, because that's why we're all here. That's why we're all here, isn't it? That's why we're all here. This one is actually quite a different track. Actually, this one's Holy Gather. It's called Blown Away. And I thought it's a nice one to kind of follow into the interview. So that's Holy Ghana, Blown Away, and then we're going to listen to Glotchy with Don't Worry, and then Marizu with Chosen, and then guys, this one I was excited about. You got to listen to this track. This one's coming right up. The Glotchy and Marizu get together and do a great track called Satisfy. So we'll listen to that. So, and then we'll go straight to the interview. So first of all, it's going to be Holy Gather with Blown Away, and then we're going to Glotchy with Don't Worry. Please don't worry, guys. And then Marizu with Chosen, and then let's just go straight into Glotchy and Marizu with Satisfy. I will see you in a few. This is Holy Gather with Blown Away.
Maybe times I don't rise up, but with you I flow in eternity. I know I must confide in you, God. I've been blind to your heart for me. I let go of my own life, a sacrifice. It's the way you pull me in outside of time. There's nothing to say. When you're next to me, I'm blown away. There's nothing to say. When you're next to me, I'm blown away. I'm ready to step in your light. I'll be your bride. I'm ready to follow your stride. It's worth the ride. say when you're next to me. I'm blown away. There's nothing to say when you're next to me. I'm blown away. There's nothing to say when you're next to me. I'm blown away. Nothing to say when you're next to me. I'm blown away. Yeah.
I'm chosen. So many times I wonder why. Like, why did you choose me? Why would you care about my life? And now I know that you love me. And I'm sure that I know that you called me. Out of the many others you saw me, you called me, you chose me. I'm chosen. Lord, you got me singing loud. Holy Spirit, you are the one that lives in me. You are the power. Your presence in here is all I need. Is all I need. And I will go into the world all around me. And I will show them the love that you show me. You needed someone to reach the world and you called me. You chose me. You chose me. I'm chosen. I'm chosen. Lord, you got me feeling like it got me singing. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Brand new mercies every morning. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Lord, your grace, it overwhelms me. Oh yeah, oh yeah. See your favor all around me. Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are now at the place or the point or the juncture of the show that you all love and I've come to love as well. I love it as well, where we have a conversation with my special guest about a transition from one thing to another, from one place in life, a testimony, and it's here, that testimony is there to inspire us and to let us know that it is possible, like this whole theme of this show is, it is possible to live this dream life, to have your life transformed into something great. You're more than just a hustler on the street. You're more than just, you can do such great stuff. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited to talk to Jonathan. Welcome to the Mary Moo Show.
Hello. How's it going? You okay?
I'm all good. I'm good. It's wonderful to have you here. And we're going to go straight in. So you were telling me before we obviously started the interview of how you met my brother, who's also been on the show as well, how you met him. So let's sort of set the scene for everyone to know. So they can really, you're the real deal. And I want them to really know you've been there. And, this is no joke. This is really, really real. So let's set the scene. So let's go a couple of years back. And you go ahead. Sure.
Okay. So I grew up in Southeast London, specifically in a place called Thamesmead. But when I actually met your brother, I was going through my migration sort of transition phase.
Yeah.
So I grew up in the whole gritty kind of knife crime era when all that, stabbings, violence, that kind of stuff was happening around South London. So with me, I got kind of involved because it started off by me getting bullied, me becoming victimized, people trying to take your phones and all that kind of stuff. And I was a really nice kid, to be honest, when I first started out. But the encounters that I experienced with, gang members and whatnot, it really had, when I think about it, I think I wasn't mentally okay. Like, I really think I wasn't mentally okay. So when I'd met your brother, I was kind of transitioning from that, but I was still having one foot in. But when I'd met your brother, we were acting together. We were both actors. We were doing shows. And he was actually speaking to me about God, speaking to me about life, speaking to me about, the bigger picture. And it's funny because we were actually sitting in a car and he was talking to me. And I said to him, Michael, give me 1 second. And he saw me leave the car, go speak to someone. A commotion ensued. And I just got stabbed right in front of him. And he was thinking, oh my gosh, what did I just witness? And so on. So that's how I met your brother.
Wow.
Yeah.
But the fact is, I don't know, I just laughed. I laughed out of shock, not just of ha ha he. I laughed because this was real inner city London, the real deal going on. My brother's there. He's just transitioning out of that sort of lifestyle. He meets you and you're in a car doing acting and you pop off you'll get stabbed in his presence. No wonder why he's still connected to you years later. I like that you mentioned something. You talked about how your mental state at that time, you said you knew you weren't mentally okay, and you obviously did talk about the fact that you actually probably did start as a nice kid, and you had to sort of almost defend yourself. I've heard this story time and time again. Do you think what you experienced in terms of even the mental, sort of the mental health and everything that was going on, almost like being almost forced really into this lifestyle? Do you think that's, again, have you heard that as well? Do you think that's true for most people who get into this sort of lifestyle?
The thing is, I can't really speak on others, but for me, I remember the very first time I got stabbed. That was probably the most serious out of all of them, because I got stabbed 3 times in my chest, my back, my lower back, and it was literally over. I had no gang affiliations. I just moved into, Thamesmead. I had no gang affiliations. It was literally over. I was walking past someone who was walking with his girl. He thought I was looking, and then that was it. But the problem was that after I got stabbed, I don't know what happened to me, but it's like some veil, like a veil, something just entered me. I can't explain it. And it's like, I vowed to myself I'd never be victimized again, because it was pretty bad. I got beat up, I got stripped, over nothing, over just eye contact. That was literally it. And after that, I became very hyper, very hyper, because growing up, I was, as a kid, I did martial arts for many years, so I knew that I could defend myself. So it was strange. I remember I used to have encounters where if someone said something bad to me or did something bad to me, I would go home, I would sit down on my couch, and I would hear voices speaking to me saying, oh, he said this to you, he did this to you. And it happened so many times. I would hear voices, I'd leave my house, I'd look for trouble, and I'd end up in hospital again. But I couldn't help it. This is the thing. I know it sounds cliche. You have to take accountability, take responsibility. But when I say mentally, I don't think I was all right. I really don't. And it's funny. I had a conversation with one of my friends a few years back, and I said to him, you know what? I think growing up, I wasn't okay mentally. And he looked at me and he said, but I could have told you that if you asked me. And I'm like, but why did I have to ask you? You should have told me, So it was something else.
You're right. It was something else, but it's the reason why I love doing these shows and hearing people's stories was because it's so sad to think that, or to know that it's still happening today. Like with as much as out to try and stop this and prevent this, there's still kids who are out there who've experienced the same thing that you've experienced. And of course, it's inevitable that it will affect someone mentally, because it just seems like the next thing. Like you be violent, you've been victimized, you're not doing anything, and you're forced, and it's almost like this is how I say it. Like when the doors open to something, the devil just comes in with everything attached, and it's this noises from insecurity to anger to rage to insecurity to hurt to pain to confusion. All these voices are speaking at this one little soul. No wonder the stability of the mind, and no wonder it's questionable, because the doors open to all of that.
Absolutely.
And obviously what I like to thank God for is that was then, and you've got a really good testimony story of where you are now. Can you talk to us a bit more about how you transitioned into knowing God and having this relationship you have him now? Like, was it like what questions I wanted to ask him? Was it easy? Was it instantaneous? Was it overnight, or did it take some time?
No. Oh my, no. this took time, because so I went through a period where I was just causing a lot of trouble. Like I said, I mean, I used to have people come to my workplace on a periodic basis, frequently looking for me. I remember I used to work at JD Sports in Charlton, and I used to have guys coming in with bats, and during the middle of work, telling me to come outside in front of my managers. I used to have issues in college. It got so bad that I used to have cars drive past me with tints, and they just stop. And someone would just get out of the car, start chasing me. I wouldn't even know who it was. I'd just see a tinted car, it would stop, and I'd run.
Wow.
So mentally, it was just weighing on me. I couldn't take it. I used to think to myself, if I could just have a bus or a car just hit me, maybe people stop thinking about me. It just became too much. And then you get to another aspect where you start losing friends, or people start getting hurt, people start getting stabbed, and shootings start happening. And so for me, I got to a point where I just had to leave where I used to live. So I left my area. I moved to sort of around Lewisham, Deptford sides.
Yeah.
Because I had to get away from they call it Greenwich Borough. I had to get away from Greenwich Borough. And through that period, I got into acting. And that's how I met your brother. Like I said, I feel like acting was something God used to distract me from that life. Because when I got into acting, I thought to myself, you know what? This is actually nice. You know, you're going on industry events, you're meeting actors, you're writing scripts, you're connecting. And I thought to myself, wow, you know, I used to go into the city and think to myself, this place looks quite nice, because I was so confined to Southeast London.
Yeah.
So I'd go to the city, I'd go to Reading, I'd go to these places, and I'd get so excited. And I thought to myself, I can get used to this. So during that phase as well, you know, I was going to, I was acting, I was going into university as well. You know what? It's funny. When I posted a picture of myself graduating, it's like I shocked almost the entire nation, because a lot of my friends never saw that coming.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I got into university, and I think the stress and the life I lived and the manner in which it drained me, it kind of pushed me into doing these things, acting, university, and etc.
Yeah.
And through that as well, I started going to church. You know, for me, I think if it wasn't for God, if it wasn't for Him, I wouldn't be here today, hands down.
I love
I was
that.
so mentally gone. Sorry, yeah,
Oh,
I was so mentally, gone that I don't believe, and I know a lot of my friends would vouch for me and say, I don't believe if it wasn't for God, I would be here today, living the life I'm living. Because even when I go into uni, I go into acting, the money element was really difficult, because you don't have that money that you used to have. You know, you make money from the streets, whether it's, and this is me not glorifying anything, but whether you're selling drugs, which I never used to do, or you're doing fraud, or whatever you're doing, it helps you get by. But when I got into university and I started acting and I started living the legitimate lifestyle, I started seeing people I used to know driving their big Benzes and the Range Rovers. And, you know, my first job was a recruitment consultant. And when I got that job, my friend looked at me and said, you really doing that? I was like, yeah. And he looked at me and he said, but it's not great, you know? And I thought to myself, well, I'm trying to change my life out here. You know, I know it's it's not paying me millions, but I'm trying to make an effort. So all that kind of stuff just put me down, and it depressed me even more, if I have to be honest.
Yeah, be honest, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I stuck to it. Obviously I had to distance myself from my friends, because I couldn't see how they were living with their cars and their flashy lifestyles. And I couldn't be around certain people anymore because too much trouble. And then I got into the corporate world, and it was just me, myself, and I. No friends, no family, because family, you know, thought I was trouble. My mom says it, you know, today. She said, you really could have been a useless boy if it wasn't for the grace of God.
Wow.
And it's true, I would have.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So I got into recruitment, and I started to educate myself. And it's weird, because my first proper role or job was in finance. Like, recruitment was my job. My first career was in finance.
Yeah.
And the transition into that was the scariest I've ever experienced, because I've now got a role paying me 50K and above. I never thought I'd see that. I'm getting 50K and above. My job is to go into boardrooms and tell people that have been doing their jobs for 20 years plus why what they're doing is not working. And let me tell you, before these meetings, I used to vomit. I used to get anxiety attacks. I used to panic. I used to feel so, I mean, at that point, I'd met my partner, my wife, and I used to come home and say to her, look, these guys are middle-aged white individuals, suited and booted. They know their stuff. And I'm a young black man coming in telling them that what you know is not relevant. It doesn't work. And it's like, I used to think to myself, if these guys knew where I came from, because they probably never judged me, but I judged myself.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I used to think, but I'm just a black guy from the roads, putting on this shirt and tie, and, who am I? And I used to come home and think, maybe I'm not up for the task, So that transition I think was the hardest. Not judging myself and, realizing that I can be something else. I don't have to be a street hustler or a footballer, maybe, or a rapper. I can do corporate.
Yeah.
So,
That's so amazing. And what, so many things you said that just sparks the other questions I have. But I think I wanted to say this, that it's so incredible. Like, I bet you then when you was obviously in this whole making trouble and things, you just didn't probably even think that you could be, even you at that point, what you're talking about now, where you're going into these boardrooms suited and booted, and obviously on the level now, talking to the C-suite, all the white guys with those middle-aged men. Like, if someone would have told you when you were running around the road and people were coming for you in JD Sports, said, "Oh, by the way, did you know that you're gonna be this one day?" Like, would you have believed it if someone told you that?
Absolutely not. I would have never believed it.
Wow.
Never.
Wow.
And it's funny. I remember one time we had a board meeting, and I was invited by one of my chiefs, and when I first joined the company, and they were calling in people to do presentations in front of the board. And I remember there was one particular man that walked in, and when he saw me, he got so thrown off he couldn't even do his presentation. Because I'm the only black person, the only one in my mid-20s sitting down in a boardroom, and he's walking in, looking at me, and he looked at me so many times, and he started when he was speaking. It was really funny, and I thought to myself, wow, I'm blessed. Life's changed.
It does happen. And I'll just chime in with this, as I worked in the professional field before I left to run my own business and things, and it's really weird. And I used to tell people, like, I am the only black person in this whole boardroom or attending these meetings, because they'll hear me over the phone or whatever it is, and I'll attend with, let's say, my bosses or whatever it is, and they'll just look at me like, you are the person we spoke to, and stuff like that. And you just have to learn to swim. It's like being pushed in the deep end. You just have to learn to start swimming with the sharks, and then you start finding your stride, and then it just becomes a normal. You expect it now. You enter into meetings, and then you you're going to be the only person. I've been the only black person in the whole company once before at that level, because that's what it was, and it's a shame. But I think the beauty of your story is, like, a road guy. Like, who would have thought that inside of you was inbuilt, for even your whole acting thing and all what that gave to you, and everything else? Who would have thought that in that little vessel God put so much in there? Okay, so I did. Oh, before I go to my question, I wanted to ask. I know you mentioned, obviously, your parents were like, if not for the grace of God, you would have been there. But was there anybody else who was kind of I know I think I know the answer to this now. You just said it. You said it before, but was there anybody else who was like a coach or somebody alongside you, saying, "Yeah, you can make it. Yeah, you don't have to live this life," or "Yeah, you can do it"? I know you mentioned my brother and that you met, but was there anybody else who was probably perhaps closer, or who you looked up to, that you thought, right, I just
no.
Hey, come on, Jonathan, come on, man, come on.
You know what? The only person, and he was in and out of my life, so it wasn't someone who was there frequently. The only person was a guy who actually belonged to a gang that I was sort of mutually affiliated with. But when he kept saying, because my life got so hectic. I used to carry knives and everything everywhere I went, and I know they do it now and it's normal. But at that point, it was. Yeah, well, I guess it was normal if you're in that life. But he used to sit down and talk to me and say, "Look, you know what? Just why don't you try this? Why don't you try that?" But other than him and your brother, I mean, even my own family, my own friends, they end up turning against you. They end up leaving you when they realize that you're nothing. and they realize you're not going to put nothing on the table, they leave you as well, alongside everyone else. So, no.
Wow. It's incredible because, like I said, it's almost like you gave them every reason not to, but it's to see the hope in someone, look at someone who's in that lifestyle and see what God's put inside of them is challenging. And of course, people are going to turn away, but this is just an encouragement even to myself and to those listening. Those people you see that they're out there doing that, if only we can see them through God's eyes and see that actually, because like that person is the next CEO of that person, you might, and reach out and tell them, like, this is you, but this is who God says you are. You will get there one day. You will be there one day, because you are a living example of how you can. So let's fast forward now. So you're in this company, and you're working in finance. How did you progress from there or migrate into property and into where you are now? How did this all come about?
Yeah, I mean, thank God for my beautiful wife, because she really held me down. I think at that point, I mean, I was in a position where I was working with, I was earning around 50K, but I was still working with people earning 80K, 100K and above. And there's this thing when I'm not shooting anyone down who works a 9 to 5. It's great. But I do feel like there's a bit of creativity in all of us.
Yeah.
And I just felt like working in that company was dimming my light to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Things had to be done the way they wanted it to be done. And I thought to myself, I just need to figure out what I can invest in. I never thought I was going to work 9 to 5 anyway. I thought I was going to be a big superstar actor. So after a while, the 9 to 5 wasn't really working for me. And I thought to myself, I just need to educate myself and maybe invest in something. And I started looking into properties.
Yeah.
My wife had been a property manager for a number of years.
Wow.
Me as well, coming up in finance, I worked as a mortgage consultant. So we combined our knowledge and our experience and started investing in properties. And I think by the time I was 2 years in, I was probably even making more money than my bosses. And that's to the glory of God, because
yes.
Remember, I came from a position where I thought, you know what, I'm in finance, I shouldn't be here. And now I'm taking another step to become an entrepreneur, investing in properties and things like that. So, so I just started buying properties. I started understanding how to remortgage, how to gain equity, how to do refurbishments to properties myself, how I can spend money, how I can save money, that kind of stuff. And I just started off with 1-2 properties, and then I just built sort of a vast portfolio over the years.
Wow. I love this. Yeah. I love this story because I love, obviously, the connection with your wife, and it is possible. Like, I'm a really big believer that I know some people say, the modern where the modern world pushes relationships almost like that's, but your wife to me, and I say this, I've never met her, but I just feel in my heart she's like this. She's like the Proverbs 31 woman, like someone who can. She's taken something together and you've just grown it, and it's just together, and you've just done this wonderful thing. And where you refer to her, it really is. The vibes you're giving is just so touching. It's so lovely, and I just pray God continues to bring you guys together and to conquer and do great things. But that's what I get, and I love that. I just so love that because to walk away from a career that people are planning to get into, and like, aren't you so glad in that to step away? And I spoke at an event, and they asked a psychologist about, we're talking about entrepreneurs, and they asked the psychologist, should you really hire an entrepreneur? They're like, yeah, but no, it's because you're going to dim if they've got, like you said, talking about dimming the light and clicking your ways. That's how you're going to feel. That's how one of the signs that you're meant to be an entrepreneur. You're creative. You're born that way. It's nothing you can. It's what's your kind of guilt. So working, even though someone's offering you 50K and it's looking good, you're there sitting there going, I can't do this anymore. I can't. I've got to. Yeah.
No, you're right. I mean, I remember when I was working. After a few years, I used to come in every so often because I was based in Swindon, in one of the finance companies. I used to have colleagues, in the middle ages, 40s, 50s. I used to come in and they used to ask me, what is it that you do? Like, because they used to see how I'd carry myself or things that I'd bring in. And they'll be like, oh, so how do you make your money? What else do you do outside of work? They'll ask those questions. But back on my wife, my wife is truly God sent, because my wife's upbringing is very strict. Like she grew up in a very, very religious household. She was Muslim, but now she's Christian. But when I met her, she was Muslim. And when she met me, she always tells me this. She met me, my trousers were halfway down my ankles. I was wearing baggy jeans and black coats, big black jackets. I was speaking slang, and I mean, half the time she said she never understood what I was saying. And when we first started going out, I mean, I remember one event where we went to Westfields, and I saw someone who I had an issue with who stabbed me previously. But I was on the point of transitioning. So I was telling myself, I've forgiven this guy. And I made a deal with God. I said to God prior that, look, if you bless me and you help me with my life, I'm just going to forgive everyone who's ever done anything to me. And that very day, God tested me. So I saw someone who stabbed me with a screwdriver. That's the guy that actually stabbed me in front of your brother.
Wow.
And I saw him in Westfields. And I was with my wife, and she was my girlfriend then. But we were walking. He sees me and I see him. And every step I'm taking, my legs are shaking. Like, my body starts to shake. I start shaking erratically. It was really, really bad. Wow. And my wife looked at me like she had no idea what was going on. And thanks to God, I mean, the guy came up to me. We spoke. We hashed things out. But even on the way back home, it's like, as I was driving, my wife really had to calm me down because I was shaking.
Wow.
Because I was still angry. But I couldn't let it out.
Yeah.
I couldn't let it out because I made that, promise to God saying, I've changed, but the anger. And it's like, that's why I say, I think there was a mental element to it, because my behavior wasn't just right. And I could see the I don't know, the demons manifesting at that point, So, and she stuck with me, she saw all that, and she still stood by my side, and she didn't have to do that,
Whoa.
Yeah.
I love that. Me too. That's why I say I love these couples like this, and I love these stories. And like I said, I just get from what you said, your wife truly is Proverbs 31 woman, and see how God's changed both your lives to where you're at now, and just being able to, look back and just give God thanks. And God truly is, kept his word, and in your bargaining with him that you changed my life, God, I'll forgive everyone. And that shows if you can forgive someone it's when you said this, it made me think about, having offense with someone who said something, a bit, and said something out their mouth, but to have to forgive somebody who stabbed you with a screwdriver over sometimes all these things are nothing, to look them in the face and be like, all right, Hasha, and you can tell the reaction from obviously the bodily reaction, the shaking, the anger and rage, all what you have to contain. The forgiveness, guys, wow, that is just
key. Forgiveness is key.
Forgiveness, and you can sense, you just sense so healed, and I love that, and I really am so glad we've done this, because your life is a testimony, yes, in so many ways, but to really encourage people that, look, it, like those times when you said when it was really tough when your friends are driving around in their Benzes and stuff on the street, it's what you're doing. I wonder what they think of you now. I don't know what you're driving now, but I don't think it's something cool from what I've seen. But that how they were looking at you now, to think, wow,
they can't believe it. They can't believe it. When I meet up with, I mean, I don't see a lot of my friends anymore, because people choose the lives they want to live. I choose this life, But when I do go and see my friends, they can't believe it. They literally cannot believe it.
Wow.
And you know what? I'd probably not believe it if I was them either, because it was bad. It was bad. It was bad. But I'm grateful. You know, it's now we've got property businesses, but we've got other businesses as well. You know, we work our own hours. We spend a lot of time traveling. When we travel, we meet people. And the funny thing is, when you work at a 9 to 5, even though you're corporate, even though you're qualified, there's a certain way you have to speak. It's because of obviously, you know, you're subordinate. You have to speak to your superiors in a certain way. But then when you have your own business, it's different, you know. And obviously the values you get or you attain from working the 9 to 5, you can then use that in your own business, treat people better, be respectful. Even though you're a boss, you show respect. You allow people to be creative, that kind of stuff. So it's different. It really is different.
Yeah, you're made for that. You're made for this. And I'm so glad that God's hand was on your life to get you to this stage where you can share the story and talk about it, because it's true. All those things that you went through, the recruitment to the other financial company, all that, it's informed how you operate in your business today and how you do things, and it's wonderful. And I really hope that this encourages somebody out there who probably thinks they ain't nothing, they ain't, look at them. And if you hear these stories, it really should and hopefully would inspire you to know that you can do it, especially if you know you've got that entrepreneurial ability. It can take time, because it's not overnight. You did hear a story, it was not overnight. It's not fast and quick money. It's steady, and I just love that you have carry on, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think the message I wanted to give out is, please, you know, really, really listen to what I'm saying and believe in yourself. Because it's not one of those stories where you're saying, you know, I came from nothing. I lived in a hostel. In Deptford. People that are on drugs, people that have all sorts of issues. I grew up in a hostel because, you know, I couldn't live with my parents. And then I moved into a council flat. No experience, nobody, no one taking me under their wings. If you just have hope, believe in yourself, because no one's going to believe in you, something can manifest from that. Something really can. You just have to hang on and believe.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Oh, thank you so much, Jonathan. And on that note, that concludes our interview. I'm so happy that I got to speak to you, and I'm sure everyone's going to get so much out of it. So thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome back, guys. I hope you really thoroughly enjoy the interview as much as I did. It's great. Please follow them. Please follow them. I'm on Instagram and on YouTube, their social channel. Jonathan is a lovely guy, isn't he? He's just lovely guy and such a testimony. And I just thank God for what he's doing in his life. And that's made me realize something, that actually you can be successful. You can be successful from your story. You can be successful. It doesn't matter where God wants to put you. You know, if he's put his hand on your life, he can turn it all around. He really is capable of that. So let's end with this track by Victor Thompson, Blessings. Everybody, we all know this is an anthem by now. And I'll see you next week. This is Victor Thompson with Blessings. Bye.
Everything I've been wanting, manifesting for my life. Everything you've been wanting, manifesting for your life. Everything I've been wanting, manifesting for my life. Everything you've been wanting, manifesting for your life.
Some Duke on the vibe.
This year, blessing, money, testimony. Go to follow you they go.
This year, good news, giant, plenty balling. Go to follow you they go.
Everything I've been wanting, manifesting for my life.
Everything you've been wanting, manifesting for your life.
Even before you call, you don't answer prayer. My papa, you too shy, no fit for your hand. Even before Before you call, you don't answer. My papa is too short before you. Everything I've been wanting, manifesting for my life. Everything you've been wanting, manifesting for my life. Everything I've been wanting, manifesting for my life. Everything you've been wanting, manifesting for my life. This year, blessing, money, testimony. Go they follow, you they go.
This year, good news, giant plenty burning. Go they follow, you they go.